Siouska, a Black River legend. On these lowlands through which Black River flows, and now, where towns and villages are reared, where a city now stands, and round about, rich cultured farms and rustic homes adorn the countryside, long centuries ago, deep forests stood, to native grandeur grown. Then red men roamed, proud kings of all the soil, nor art, progressive spirit, nor design of races cultured and refined and learned had come to sweep away the beauteous scenes there formed by God's free hand, nor had they dared the true-born native freedom to enthrall. Beneath the soft, dark, silent, shadowed depths of towering trees, with foliage thick-fringed, the restless water tossed on rocky bed, now stretching wide, now deep, now rough, now smooth. A black, weird stream with solemn murmuring roar. On it tossed toward Ontario Lake, where mingling free with those clear crystal waves, it still moved on toward the distant sea. Near those wild lands, Oneida Indians dwelt, in wild and sweet security content. Their hunting grounds were there, and once each year, with light canoes, adown Black River stream, in happy bands they went to hunt and fish on broad Ontario Lake, to lay in stores, to meet grim winter's fierce and stern demand. When full supplied with large and ample gain, they back well pleased to camping valleys came, and reveled joyful in the simple forms of Indian life. Among a neighboring tribe, an aged warrior dwelt, whose daughter, pride of all his tribe, Siouska, bloomed a queen of royal blood, majestic, proud and young. The old man's only child, his joy and hope. Two brave Oneidas sought Siouska's love. Her father knew them well, had watched their suit, and with sagacious thought, himself made choice, his tribe to strengthen and enlarge withal. And so, one lovely eve, when spring had oped the gates to summer's land, he led her forth, not knowing of her choice. With trembling fears she went, unconscious of his will and wish. But when she saw the youth who there approached, and saw her father smiling welcome give, her fears were hushed, for 'twas her chosen love, to whom the old man gave this much-loved girl. Siouska's heart went with her hand, all his. Young Eagle Eye was proud, and bending down, he on her lips impressed one fond, sweet kiss. Then all his wigwam sought for festal joy. His rival saw them go, the telltale kiss, and nursing vengeance dire for his lost love, gave one fierce yell and vanished from the tribe. 4 years, perhaps, in love's unbroken course, did Eagle Eye and fond Siouska pass, and now upon the fresh young grass there played a living token of their love. A boy, about 3 summers grown, well-built and strong. Siouska gazed upon his little form with all a mother's pride, then turned her eyes upon her handsome chief, and felt a thrill of woman's deepest love, a joy supreme, so full her soul when she sat by his side. And Eagle Eye, for those 2 treasures rich, grew proud and strong, and thanked the Spirit, God. Now early summer's growing beauties bloomed. The trees were in their freshest garments clad. The feathered beauties sang their choicest songs, and on the valley's floor the richest carpet lay, its brilliant green spangled with the brightest flowers. The silvery ripples on the crystal stream that through the valley's center flowed along, with glowing sunlight danced, and on the bed the beauteous pebbles lay in fancy forms. 'Twas coming eve. The clear blue sky toned down, by tender haze was here and there, by thin light cloudlets hid, and soul, now seeking rest, the western sky adown, laughed, glowed and blushed, and kissed all things goodnight. Next morn the tribe, in part, a fishing party planned. With it was Eagle Eye to go. Siouska, fond, fast clung to him. The separation feared, and asked to go along. Well pleased with her desire, and loth to see his cherished loves, he gave his free consent with her tender kiss. This caused delay, more labor to prepare. The band at early dawn had started forth, and they to reach Ontario Lake with ease, with comfort, and with speed had laid their course across the country wild, through forests deep, to gain Black River at mid-length, about then to follow to its mouth. Upon Black River's bank, they were to wait until morn, when Eagle Eye, Siouska, and their child agreed, with true intent, to meet the band. But shadowed twilight came, then darkness fell. Before they were prepared, and, loath to leave their joyful home at night, resolved next morn to follow on. Bright rose the full-orbed king of glorious day, on dazzling car enthroned, his fiery courses well by able hands controlled, high mounting into boundless space. A bright, warm, glowing, beauteous summer morn. Then Eagle Eye arose. Siouska soon came forth, their boy, then slow to wake. Next came. Thus all prepared, with light canoe and furs and tools for hunting packed with native skill and care, they journeyed out upon their way. Black River's side, next early afternoon, they reached with safety, but they found no friends. Their campfire embers smoldered slow away and marked the place of rest. Siouska here, the fire renewed, a frugal meal prepared. When thus refreshed, their light canoe arranged, they floated down the stream, 3 hearts in one. A human trinity of love and hope. In harmony, they were so closely linked. Thus down the stream they slowly floated on. The paddle's dip so silent made, scarce moved, the water's flow. Upon its bosom, dark, no ripple could be seen. The stream, as those 3 lives, was placid and serene. No cloud appeared upon the bright blue sky. Around was spread a deep-set wilderness of trees. The birds, on wing, sang songs of wild and fearless praise. Then Eagle Eye conversed. Siouska joined in sweet accord. Their baby sweetly slept. How glad is life when thus serenely spent! The rumbling sound of shallow rapids nigh now sounded in the air, and as they neared the broken flow, the stream more troubled grew, more swiftly ran, and fringe of sparkling white, each wave adorned. Then Eagle Eye quick steered his boat toward the rocky shore. They disembarked, and down the river's bank their trappings bore, then re-embarked again, fast floating on. The bright, warm day had passed. The wearied sun sank down in the western sky, and lovely twilight came, and o'er the earth her mystic veil widespread, and all things wore a soft and holy calm. Earth's happiest time. Night, sable queen, her shrouded mantle spread. Black storm clouds rose upon the western sky, and distant thunders rumbled far through space. Black River's wondrous cataract loud roared, and wearied out by that day's wandering toil, the travelers reached the shore, in friendly cave. Close shelters sought to rest and scape the storm. They here their hunger satisfied well full, and then, with furs and blankets well arranged, they slept the sleep of peace and sweet content. Now round these caves, this giant waterfall, yet young, a blooming city stands. Then all was wild in native strength and majesty. When Eagle Eye first held Siouska's hand, and on her lips impressed the marriage kiss, and called her his hating rival fled. In these dark caves he found a boat alone, fanning his hatred into dire revenge. Here he had lived. Here lived he now, alone. He saw the boat, the object of his love, the object of his hate, their offspring, too. His adverse passions kindled counterfires which, rankling in his breast, most crazed his brain. And now, well armed, he watched their every move with sulking Indians' stealthy, deadly care. At night he brooded o'er the happy scene. All night the lonely, gloomy watch he kept, and when the rainfall ceased and clouds dispersed, and morning twilight and to fairly gleam, his nerves high strained and blood at fever heat no reason could control, so stationed where his eye could reach all points upon the stream, and he from observation be secure in anxious mood, he waited for his prey. The sun had just begun to gild the day when Eagle Eye awoke and sailed out to view the early morn, so warm, so fresh, so sweet, so still and pure. Siouska, too, came forth, first waking her loved child. The 3 then sat to break the fast, a simple meal, so soon prepared, with relish soon dispatched. They then their boat arranged again to float, and glad and happy as the day before, they shot across to reach the current's flow, and turned the prow once more adown the stream. O hearts so full of joy, O lives so sweetly spent, your guardian angels kind and watchful care so far had smoothed your course. The sorrows due to every mortal life as yet had kept aloof from your fond hearts. You felt no pain, no ills, have never dreamed, asleep nor yet awake, that smothered fires with fierce volcanic force were gathering strong around your happy loves. No pen can write the Indian's sacred love, no tongue can tell the Indian's baneful hate. The streams ne'er run a smooth or middle course, but, like a mountain torrent wild and fierce, by winter's gathered snows unlocked in spring, bears with it all that meets its raging course. The clouds of shattered spray from that high fall, the largest on the stream, appeared in sight, and Eagle Eye arose to guide his boat, so full of cautious care for his dear loves. His foe, concealed, quick saw his move, and with a flash of vicious hate shot forth from his jet eye, upraised his bow, an arrow set, his arm, with nerve as true as tempered steel, the bowstring drew, and with unerring aim, the arrow sped forth to its hateful work. As lightning's flash, so struck the deadly barb. The heart of Eagle Eye was deeply pierced. Its glad pulsation ceased. A stifled moan was heard. He staggered, fell into the stream, and sank no more to live. Siouska screamed. The forest echoes woke, and forth and back again in dying tones. They, wailing, told the Indians' murderous crime. The song of birds was hushed, and e'en the trees, their branches bent more low in sorrow's weight. The waters moaned a requiem o'er its dead. The boat, impelled by force of his deadfall, shot to the shore and stranded on the rocks. Siouska and her boy stepped out and stood, enwrapped in wild dismay. Instinctive power, her eyes in anxious watch upon the stream close kept, her limbs impulsive, moved, and down the bank she quickly went along the most dazed. The murderer saw her go and slowly crept toward her boat with stealthy, cautious care. He drew it up close by a cavern's mouth, secured it there, reclined in it to wait Siouska's slow return. Her love for him should be new made by his persuasive power, and now his dire revenge subdued, his heart, its venom lost, and love, fond, hopeful love, the heated blood sent boiling through his thick and swollen veins. He pictured untold joys, and while these visions brightest gleamed, he slept, to see them in his dreams. Still down the stream, Siouska followed on, slow dragged her boy behind, and when beside the boisterous falls, with wistful, straining eyes, intently fixed upon its flow, she saw her husband's form, an instant poised upon that fearful crest, then dashed to that fierce, boiling pool below. Her heart, its beating ceased, her brain most reeled, her weakened limbs with sickening tremor shook, but still she wandered down the riverside. At length she sat upon projecting rock, in meditation deep, and wept. And then, her grief relieved, she raised her weeping eyes, and there upon the shore she saw his form, her chieftain's lifeless form. She started up with strong, impulsive nerve, high-strained and stern. By wild excitement's magic power revived, and clasped his form and bore it from the stream. High up the toilsome bank she laid down, beneath the thick-set cedar's kindly shade, the limbs with care arranged, her blanket o'er him threw, then toiled to dig a lonely grave. Oft sank her troubled heart, and as her eyes oft turned upon his cold and lifeless form, her grief would burst afresh, and then 'twould seem she too must fall in slumber by his side. So lonely and so sad now seemed her life. Her boy looked on with full childish wonder. He thought his sire asleep, and as he turned his little face to meet his mother's gaze, and asked her why she cried, his wonder grew. She seized his little form and clasped him firm to her fond breast, and kissed him o'er and o'er, then bade him go play. Revived, she now bent to her work, and soon the grave prepared, with leaves well lined, there Eagle Eye she laid, and placing o'er him brush with kindly care, she on her knees his spirit gave to that great spirit, God, who rules creation o'er. The grave well filled, her child clasped in her arms, she wandered back. By force, instinctive force, her steps were led to her canoe. 'Twas gone, and gently laying down her boy asleep, she saw his head soft pillowed on the grass, then sat calmer thoughts. Now sorrow's stream began welling up her heart. Its full springs burst, and tears, hot, scalding tears, adown her bright brown cheeks in freedom's saddening plenty ran. O stricken soul, thy flowing tears will cease, thy sorrowing heart, thy shattered nerves restrain, and save, perchance, a threatened broken heart. Now changed, aroused, conflicting forces deep, her thoughts disturbed, a new and active life, a stubborn, stern revenge her heart received. The Indian's counterfire to sincere love. She looked around, a quick and searching glance. There lay her boat, rocked on the water's breast, securely tied by that grim cavern's mouth, and lay in it her foe. Bright gleamed her eye, with newly kindled fire, her lips firm set, her face and form to sudden sternness grew. 'Twas time for her revenge. O Eagle Eye, for thee I live, for thee, if I need, I die. Thy death I must avenge, thus cried her heart. With cat-like stealth she slowly crept along down, so noiseless down the riverbank. Oh hush, he sleeps a deep, heavy sleep. She closer drew, the paddle soft removed, unloosened the boat, then from the shore she pushed it out towards the current's rapid flow. With anxious face she watched it float away. Unconscious victim, sleep thou, soundly sleep. Sweet be thy dreams, thy cruel heart serene, thy fate far distant from thy placid thoughts. Thy mortal hours are few, thy light fast fading out. Siouska breathed one fervent prayer aloud. Oh, let him wake when on that fatal brink. May he awake to know my hate, to know my heart's revenge, to see my joy, to feel he goes to meet the spirit of my chief, to meet thee, O thou spirit of the stream. She saw her boy still slept, then crept along to watch her victim's course down the stream. The boat passed quickly on. When near the falls, her wish was answered, and he woke and saw Siouska start. She gave one cry of joy. He raised his arms with one loud cry of pain and plunged beneath the flood. The wind arose and whistled weird and shy. The trembling leaves upon the trees' harmonious cadence sung. The nighthawk screeched, and solemn owls were heard. Dark clouds in sullen silence moved across the long, arched sky. The river rushed and roared, in mystic melody of boisterous sound. All nature seemed disturbed. Siouska turned towards her sleeping boy and bore him to the cave. Alone with him in night, a fierce reaction came. She wept a flood of tears, and then she slept. Next day at early dawn she woke, refreshed and calm. And after thought what course she should pursue, she took her boy and wandered to the lake, her friends to meet. While on the way, a bow and arrows rude she made, that she might food obtain. All day they wandered to the lake, but met no friends. She spent an hour in solemn thought, and then resolved to seek her father's home. For days they roamed through the forests, deep and wild and dark, their appetites appeased with native fruits and captured game, and in secluded shade reposed, and wrapped in close and fond embrace. At length, one day at noon, her father's home she neared, with sadness worn, and stood before his door. They met. The old man wept for joy, for he had thought her lost, forever lost. Siouska told her tale with mingled hate and love, and all friends praised her course so true. The eve was spent in festive joy, in which the whole tribe joined, but all resolved to shun Black River's stream, for fear the spirit's power. An old canoe for long, long years had lain upon the Black River's bank, quite near its mouth, with bottom up, just as the waters willed. It seemed to hold a vague, mysterious air from which a legend comes, wherein I read my tale. 'Twas called Siouska's boat, and round about there seemed to float in human minds a superstition strong, which thus declared, "From this wild stream the river's god demands a sacrifice of human life each year to calm the Indian warrior's bitter hate, to soothe Siouska's sorrow and revenge, and so, from year to year, it clasps a form to its cold breast and washes out its life."